Hello, hello. I've been listening to Dr. David Hawkins, David R. Hawkins. Many of you know him. He wrote the book Power versus Force. He's written a couple other books, but I've been listening to one of his talks on doubt and insecurity and discovered that he laughs a lot, he rambles a lot, he's kind of all over the place. And aren't mentors like that lovely because they give you permission to be yourself, as imperfect as you are. Hate that. But one of the things he talks about over and over and over is karma. And you may have heard me talk about karma before because it's something I really, really talk about and reiterate about a lot, because most of us have this concept of karma that is cause and effect, right? And so we get this concept of karma mixed up with the concept of fate and impenetrableness, or like things are predetermined, or like, oh, well, we can't possibly affect the outcome of it because it's karma. And it's like, well, okay, I get where you got that from, because if it was literal cause and effect, then there'd be no way to stop the effect if the cause was already there. So I understand where the confusion comes from. But karma doesn't work like that, because that would imply that there's no free will, right? And it would imply that there's nothing you can do about it. And that's just not the case. So I want to clarify how these concepts work together, what karma really means, how free will affects it, and then what to do about it, right? So when we think about karma as like, okay, well, if I do good, then I'm going to get good, or if I do bad, then I'm going to get bad, or somebody was rude to me in traffic, so I'm going to let them, get in an accident because that's their karma. And it's like, well, it's not really how it works. But how it does work is that, I used to live in northern New Zealand, and it's so lush there, like crazy jungle, like Jurassic Park jungle. And one of the just mind-blowing things for me was that if you didn't go, like if you went hiking, if you didn't go down a path every week, the path would be overgrown, like just like that, 10 days, it'd be gone, right? Whereas here, you go hiking and you go once a year and the path is really clear because the brush just doesn't grow back as fast. So this is kind of how karma works, is that we're beating the same path over and over again. So then when you have an experience in your life, like showing up at the side of a mountain, you know which path to take. And what karma is doing is the opposite of that, meaning you have an experience outside of you, but you've carved certain channels in your brain and in your experience and perspective. And so that experience can only come in through those certain channels because you've really dug them deep. You've really worn them, really deep. And so what that means is that what's happening outside of you could be totally different than how you end up interpreting it, because you're interpreting it through the channel that you've paved, right? So this is why we have this is why we can get trapped in a karmic cycle, because we've just got these like really deep embedded habits of thinking and viewing things. It's why, people who expect rude people get rude people. It's why people who expect a hard time traveling get a tough time traveling. It's why those types of things matter. And when people say, oh, just change your thoughts, change your mind, change your, the way you're looking at it, talk about it differently, like that's what they mean, is because you're continuing to cause the same effect in your life because you're creating this one path for experience to come in. And this is where free will comes in. So with free will, you have the ability to change a couple different things. The channel that you're carving, you have the opportunity to heal over that channel. You have the opportunity to create other channels, and you have the opportunity to change your perspective entirely, meaning like zoom out, see all the pathways that you've created, and go, oh, I get it now. I get what I'm doing. I get what I'm seeing. So we have this witnessing mind that can help us identify how we've actually tripped up our own selves based on our psyche, right? So this is where higher level consciousness comes in, is that the psyche is just, it's like this incredible computer system, right? But the computer system's programmed in certain ways. And oops, we stumbled into those ways. But we can use this higher consciousness to zoom out and go, I really want to reprogram my computer. So we use free will to reprogram the computer. And I'm hoping this is making sense to you. So basically, karma from a yogic perspective is not directly cause and effect. Karma is the explanation of how cause and effect relate to each other because you are perceiving something consistently the same way. So your karma is based on the lens that you're looking at life through. And your lens ensures that you see life and problems and issues and all of that in some really common ways over and over and over and over again. So you keep responding as if this is the same issue over and over and over again, right? So that's where the cause and effect come in. You get trapped in this cycle of being like, oh, there it is again. Oh, there it is again. Oh, there it is again. I'm going to respond this way. I'm going to respond this way. I'm going to respond this way, because you're just seeing the same thing. It's like you're wearing a pair of glasses and only seeing, you know, people are jerks, or only seeing I'm so broke, that kind of thing. So that means that we're always reacting in the same way. We're tripping ourselves up based on our own viewpoint, our own perspective. That's what karma is. It's recreating a cycle of experiences and responses based on a dirty lens, right? So we can clean the lens. You know, clearing karma means zooming out, having that higher level consciousness, taking ourselves out of gut reaction experiences and realizing, oh, there's a lot more wiggle room in here than I thought. It's not direct cause and effect. It's experience filtered through all this processing response, right? So we can zoom out and have that perspective, which is cleaning the lens, and then we can change the pathways that we've created, right? So like if your mind is like the pool at the bottom of a water slide, and you've got all these water slides coming down, and like we're just constantly reinforcing the same opinions and beliefs, like we can change it by choosing to lay new pathways, choosing to make new water slides. So this is why changing your perspective and using free will is so important and so powerful. And these concepts don't contradict. In fact, they need each other. Because if karma was a given, if karma meant life was fated and predetermined, then we'd all just be screwed with what we've got. But karma just represents how you're tripping yourself up with your own dirty lens, right? Because you're seeing life a certain way. So we can change the perspective. We can change the perspective. And the work that I do with people is so incredibly powerful, because what I do is give you the lens of your life and soul's purpose. And when you have the lens of your soul's purpose as the way that you're looking at the world, all of a sudden, all of those issues that you thought were issues look very different, right? Like all of the things that are so bad about life now all of a sudden look like invitations to live your purpose even deeper, and to forgive yourself and be compassionate and discover even new layers of living your purpose, so that you can be even more expressive and confident in the light side of your purpose, right? Like this is why soul's purpose work is so important, because that is the ultimate perspective of your life. Right? Like if we're going to have a lens, let's have the cleanest lens we can. And we all have lenses, right? That's our individual inheritance as humans, individual and humans. So you're going to have a lens, but let's have it be the lens of your purpose. Let's have it be the lens of your biggest reason for being here, your soul's biggest gift to the world, because then everything we look at is in the context of how can I express my purpose more? How can I feel it more deeply? Because it's not about what you're doing, it's about who you're being. So allow the lens of this, what you're looking at the world through, to be the lens of being the most soul-aligned version of you, right? So we're not wasting time looking through a lens that's based on insecurity, or a lens that's based entirely on like the world's a horrible place, but we're looking through a lens of I have a unique way of viewing the world, and that unique way of viewing the world is helping me be the best version of myself. And then we're using things like free will, we're using things like the law of karma, we're using things like our own perspective to actually enhance who we are in the world and what we bring to the world, instead of tripping ourselves up over and over and over again, right? We're still going to experience setbacks, we're still going to experience frustrations, but now those frustrations will be so closely tied and viewed as part of your purpose that they become part of your growth. And your only work here is to grow as you, right? Like being you to the fullest possible extent is your gift to the world. It's not what you do, it's who you are. And you got to be more of you to give more of the gift, right? So if all of us grew to our furthest possible extent, then all of us would be giving the best versions of ourselves to the world. Like, that's love in the world. That's God living in the world. That's life taking it to the fullest possible level, right? So if you want to work with things like karma, if you want to actually use your will to put yourself on a path that feels good and that helps you be the best version of you, so when these laws do act, like law of karma, all of that, that when they do act, they're actually still pointing you in the right direction instead of feeling like these walls that are coming up all the time, then let's look at the lens. Let's look at the perspective that you've got on the world. And instead of that perspective being based on limiting beliefs, false beliefs, anger, bitterness, and I've been there, right? I've been there. I was in a year-long program to release anger in relationships. You know, like now I'm in a program entirely focused on releasing insecurity around value and worthiness. Like, we've got to clean the lens. And I'm the first one to say, like, I have a lens of purpose. I know when I have these issues that these are issues related to my purpose, which is how I can find strength, right? It's how I can find strength in all of the things that trip me up. It's how I can find my way back to the path that feels good, because I know when I feel like I'm on a detour, the karmic detour of, oh, life just smacked me again, here's that issue again, like, I know how to find my way back because I know how that little detour is actually right on track, because I've chosen the lens that I'm looking at the world in, right? That doesn't mean I still don't have unconscious things. All of us do. But you can really choose that major perspective you're looking at the world so that you know that the good and the bad, the light and the dark, all of the stuff in between is enhancing you and your purpose and who you are. All right. If you have any questions on this, pop them in the chat below, private message me. I'm taking clients right now, particularly before the end of the year, so we can get you clear on your purpose and get you on track to living it. Because, you know, I want to say, like, oh, so you can do this and so you can do that. Like, I don't care. I don't care what you do with it. The benefits are the being of it. You'll be so much happier. You'll be so much happier because all of a sudden you'll know without a doubt that everything that goes on in your life is for you. Even the hard stuff, even the painful stuff, even the crappy stuff. It's all feeding you at the deepest soul level to continue to expand and to grow. So that's why it's so important. Hope this helps. Talk to you soon. Mwah.